Paint Club. I'm Sandra Louisa, and today I'm going to show you how to do a simple landscape painting with acrylic paints. So here's a picture of the painting, or here is the painting actually. There we go. Okay, so if you fancy having a go at this, grab your paints. I'll show you what you need, and you can play, pause and paint along so you can follow. And it's really simple. It's a really basic palette of colours, so to not overcomplicate things, I've kept things really straightforward, and it's a really good experience with your practicing with your colour mixing as well and getting to know the colours. So first of all, we definitely need a white, because you often use a lot of that when you're mixing colours and lightening your colours with your acrylics. So I've got some titanium white there, some Prussian blue, which is a dark blue, or you can use any other blue as long as it's quite dark. There's a brown, which is burnt umber, again a nice dark brown. And lastly, a bit of sunshine, lemon yellow. Okay, so you don't have to stick to those colours, but I do recommend you use a dark brown and a dark blue to do this with, so it helps you to get those tones. And also some brushes here. So I used 2 filbert brushes, one large, one medium. And the filbert brushes are the flat brushes there. They've got a rounded or tapered end to the actual bristles. And I also used a bright, which is a hog hair, so it's a very sort of stiff bristle. A bright brush, which is a short flat. That's why it's called a bright. But you don't have to worry too much if you haven't got one of those. You can use a small round brush. If not, okay, no worries. And also for mixing your colours in, I always use a Tupperware box or pot with an airtight lid. If I don't get all my painting done in one session, I can come back to it in a few days or up to 2 weeks, and the paint will still be open, still be wet enough to be able to go back and work with it again. So the canvas that I used, it's just a small one. It's roughly speaking, I think something like 8 by 12 inches, but you can use watercolour paper or some thick cartridge paper taped down to a board. So let's get painting, have fun, enjoy, grab a cup of tea or coffee as well whilst you paint along. And I'd love to hear how you get on, and find out, you know, how you got on. What colours did you use? Did you have any tricky moments? Did you enjoy it? And yeah, do let me know in the comments below. Take care, have fun. Right, let's get painting. So acrylics it is, and some Prussian blue mixed with some titanium white and a little touch of burnt umber, just to take the vividness of the blue down a little bit. Get that paint on the canvas. We're doing the sky first. I don't know if you can see that. It's a mix of my paint. You can see it's not runny. It's quite thick. Nice big flat filbert brush. Just initially it's about getting the paint on there. The brush is just damp. And I sketched this out first, just on a rough bit of paper, just to get my initial ideas and thoughts down and the composition sorted. You can feel a little bit more paint is needed when you're painting on canvas, because it soaks up into the canvas. Gonna have some mountains, so I could do the whole canvas with this colour if I wanted to, which is absolutely fine. Yeah, you can do that as your ground colour first if you want. Today I'm not doing that. I'm painting the negative shape of the sky in first. Okay, and the brush is fairly soft, so it's easy to blend. Let's make that sky a little bit whiter towards those mountains in the background. It's cold out here. I've got my gloves on. and I'll make it a bit stronger, slightly stronger mix. There you go. As we head up, and because the paint's still wet, I can sort of scumble and blend diagonal or circular mark making. You can even use the side of the brush to get your paint on if you want. Stand back and look at it, see how it's looking. Think about which direction you're going to have your light, which area is going to be lighter, which is going to be darker. Let's make it lighter on the right, darker on the upper left. We're going to be finished hopefully in a single shot, so I'm not going to let it dry in between layers. There we go, that would be fine to start off with. So I'm going to use the same colours for the water, and again looking at that negative shape of the water, leaving the reflection of the mountain for now. I've done that a little bit dark, so a rough shape of the mountain reflected. And look at the tones in the sky. You're reflecting the sky, the tones of the sky as well. So where it's lighter here, it will be lighter here in the water as well. Make it slightly darker at the bottom where it's closest to us. So sticking with the Prussian blue with some burnt umber and titanium white. Nice thing about acrylics, you can correct, paint over any mistakes as many times as you need to. So that's great. So it's a bit more relaxed than working with watercolours in that respect. It's easy to correct. Aeroplane or glider going overhead. Motorised gliders that sometimes come overhead here. Lovely to have a bit of winter sunshine. Okay, so I've got some more burnt umber, and you can see I've got plenty of places to manoeuvre with my mixing in my palette, so I'm not just mixing a big blob of one colour. I've got all these variations in tone and colour, and I can start blocking in where my mountain's going to go. It's kind of a grey blue at the moment. Once I've got the shape in that I like, I can come back and alter the colours. Working in the direction of the contours of the mountain. Make it slightly bluer so I can put the reflection in. A little bit more Payne's grey, not Payne's grey, Prussian blue. Checking where the high points are, bring it over a little bit more. Not too bad, this isn't quite right, so I can manipulate that with some of the watercolour, Prussian blue and titanium white. that I use. Not the paint, not the watercolour paint, sticking with acrylics, but what I mean is the colour of the water. There we go. That's a bit better. Okay, I'm going to come onto the foreground and block that in. Don't get to stand back and look at it so far. So I've got some lemon yellow, and just adding that to the Prussian blue and titanium white mix. There's a hint of the burnt umber going in there as well. Do test your colours out first. And again, I'm not fussed about this all being an even colour. I don't mind if it chops and changes throughout this painting. It adds variety. I don't want it just to be a flat block of all the same colour. I'm going to put a bank in. And you can be quite rough with this as well. I'll show you how to mix in there. So now paintbrush is not clogged up with, you know, wads of paint. It's about single cream consistency as well. Make that a bit duller. Desaturate it with a bit of brown if it's too bright. There we go, that's fine for now. It's because it's single cream consistency, it goes on fairly easily, and because I've got a fair amount on the brush, it goes on fairly easily as well. I don't mind if some of the texture of the canvas shows through, because that just adds a bit of texture. And I can, excuse me sniffing by the way, it's so cold out here, I can add a bit more blue to the mix, and I can play about with some of the colour there. Get a bit of variety. I've got on my paintbrush some blue and yellow, which I'm just dabbing on in the foreground, just to add a bit of variety. Okay, then I'm going to have some trees on here, but I think first I'll add a tiny touch of this colour into the background as well. Just start adding a bit of variety of colour in there. The bottom of the slope is going to have a bit more green. And keep it quite grey brown towards the top. It just adds a bit of variety of colour, adds a bit of interest. If you can see that. Let's make that a bit stronger so you can see it a bit more. So it's just this mix again. I'm still using these same three colours with the white, lemon yellow, Prussian blue, burnt umber, titanium white. It gives a sense of harmony, and mirror that gently. It wants to be lighter in the water, not so detailed, just a hint. Mirroring your mark making. It's a nice still. Think of Coniston water up in the Lake District. Start getting a sense of depth, so I'm going to make this stronger, green, brighter, more vivid in the foreground there. There's lemon yellow and Prussian blue. You can scrub it back and forth. Make it quite rough. I don't want it to go right up here because you need to think this shape has to have its own sense of depth as well. So it's not just about the depth in the whole picture, each and every shape has to have its own sense of depth. So if it was the same tone and colour here, it would be very flat. Alright, so that's fine for the minute. Sip of tea. Cheers. Okay, so I'm going more towards the burnt umber now. So we've got this one here. Mix a little bit more paint up, there's not quite enough there. Okay, so it's mainly the tip of the brush that's got the paint on. So there. Okay, but it's not so caked in it, you can't see the bristles, so you want the right amount on there. And I'm going to add some tree trunks. Upward movements, upward movements, and maybe 3. What I want to do is to bring some, I want this to be my focal area, so I've got a round brush size 2 in acrylics. Just put that in the water so it's damp. And I can start getting a bit more definition. Just again, thinking about where I'm going to go, what I want it to say, how it's going to frame the picture, what sort of brush strokes do I want. What sort of branches do I want them to be? Harsh and angry and angular, or do I want them to be soft and round and gentle? Try and get them to taper off. Allow it to come out of the picture as well. I might thicken these up, but I just want to get the initial feel. Don't forget to stand back as well. We can worry about grounding them in a minute. Let them come off the page. Trees are a really good, useful tool in landscapes for framing and pointing at things. Holding the brush almost at the tip so I've got a good sense of movement, and just using the tip of the brush. Needs to carry the weight of that long branch, doesn't it? So I need to thicken that up. That's better. Once you've got everything in, you can worry about the details after. Let the trees, branches go over one another, let them crisscross over. Because nature doesn't know there's a tree standing next to another tree. Let it do its thing. Doesn't know there's the edge of the painting either, so let it come off the edge too. Let the world continue outside your picture. And just put a little bit more info in, that's better, and start in a bit more detail. Let's sort these tree trunks out. Upward, round brush, up and down strokes, just blending it in a little bit. That's probably okay for the minute, because I'm going to put some texture on here, so it's sort of settled it in a bit more. It looks a bit more grounded now, doesn't it? And because the paint is a little bit damp, it's fairly easy to work with still. It's so cold out here, it's not drying really fast like it would do in the summer. Right, so we're starting to think about the direction of the lighting as well. Light coming from this direction. Could almost have a path down there, couldn't you? I don't know. You could. Sometimes you see things suggested in the painting as you're working, and you think, oh, should I add that or not? Sometimes it's a good thing. You can just do that. You can add it, and if you don't like it, you can take it out later. Just paint over it if you want. The texturing can go in there with my round brush. You might have a flat brush, and you can just use the side of that. So I'll show you a flat brush. This is called a bright. Let's see if it will. There we go. And it's quite firm bristles. You can get softer bristles with these as well, but this is quite a firm brush, and the bristles are fairly short, so it's called a bright because it's smaller. So the bristles on this one, for instance, are much longer. There we go. You can see the difference. So you've got the normal flat size brush, and then you've got the brights here, and the bright can be good for doing textures. Let's see if I can get some more paint. I'm going to have to get some more out of my tube. So you can just use the side of it. You hear that scraping on the surface of the canvas. So that can be handy one to use as well. That's better, you can see that a bit more now. Using the bright brush and some of the Prussian blue to move that along a bit. Hopefully it won't fall off the easel. Some texture. Whoop. Bring that up again. I'm using really dry paint at the minute. I haven't even cleaned the brush. I've just dibbled the brush into the white and the yellow, and just lay some paint over the top, so it's quite thick and heavy. Stand back and have a look at this in a tick. Painting the direction that things go in, so you're creating that illusion of direction, depth, and encouraging the eye to travel around the canvas. I think what we do is we have a bit of yellowy colour up here, so eyes coming along and up onto here. That's a bit bright. Let's get some white on that. Let's use your finger. A little bit of colour on there. The light's picking up on the colour. Dry brushwork, just sort of scrambling, encouraging it on here with this heavy brush. I want this to stand out more than any other of the mountain because that's my focal area. And just a tiny bit on here because it's more about this bit. Gently recede. Don't forget to stand back. Okay. So I'm going to be bold and put some water, suggesting the surface of the water over the top here. So I've got my heavy filbert brush, but if you haven't got one of those, not filbert, bright, and it's a bristly, very bristly one. But if you haven't got one of those, you can just use a small round brush just to draw in a few lines. Don't be too careful with it. You're just suggesting the surface of the water with a bluey white colour from your Prussian blue and titanium white. Don't forget to stand back so that you can see how it's looking. Okay, that's looking better. I'm just going to finish off these trees. They don't have to look really smooth either. They can look a bit rough. Again, it's so that's a bit of interest really, doesn't it? Okay, so I think what I'll do is I will look at this tomorrow and possibly add some more bits. The light's fading now, so I'm going to finish it there I think for today, possibly make this a bit older. And yeah, I think we're nearly done. round brush, some stronger paint. So it's just these three colours really, isn't it? Prussian blue, burnt umber, lemon yellow, and your titanium white. Keep it easy, keep it relaxed, and don't go too mad on lots of different colours, because you don't need to. Think about your tones, think about your light direction and your textures, and have fun. And there we go. So why not have a go yourself and let me know how you get on. So I hope you enjoyed that, and how did you get on? Don't forget to let me know, and also if you've got any questions too, I'll be happy to look at those and answer those if I can. So thank you very much for joining me today. I do hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget to like and share this film, help to get the word out there. This is quite a new channel, so that would be great if you could help support me and I'll make some more films. And also don't forget to subscribe too, and I'd really appreciate that. Thank you so much for joining with me today. I hope to see you again soon. Take care. Bye for now.